Riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album, the show where we pick a song or album, talk about it for an entire week straight, and then come back here to tell you, the listener, whether or not we hate it, and of course, why. The person talking right now is one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey, with me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, Cato to my Cluso, Timothy Richardson. Cato, how you doing, buddy?
Incredibly irritated, Garrett.
Well, what else is new?
Fair enough. Track number 4.
No, what? No. God, how can you ruin the flow in the first 30 seconds? Why are you irritated?
Well, Garrett, ever since the last prepisode was released, the now classic Ladies Love C. James PP-sode, I have been inundated with people asking, why didn't you mention that Ladies' real father is Tito Jackson? How could you have missed that one key detail? Garrett, the reason...
I would venture to say it's not true.
The reason that I missed it is that Toriano Adderall Jackson is not his father. They are not related in the 11, count them, 11 jackasses that wrote in to tell me that they are related are as stupid and gullible as some sort of Geno. The rumor appears to have started from a YouTube video entitled LL Cool J admits Tito Jackson is his biological father. You must see this, from 2020, a video which, and this is true, never mentions Tito.
Also, I got to assume his middle name is not Adderall.
It's Adderall.
Agree to disagree.
A-D-A-R-Y-L-L. Adderall.
A-D-A-R-Y-L-L. Adderall?
Adderall.
Both are strange. Both are strange.
Yeah. Other than that, of course, Garrett, we have finished February Spook, the spookiest month of the spook celebratory season. So
Disagree.
I would like to welcome everyone to Sexy Spring, a trademark of the Why I Hate This Album LLC.
That's not the name of our LLC. We have one and that ain't it. It's the name of the show under our LLC. But you know what? Close enough. Best you don't know anyway.
All right.
I gotta let everybody know that I was tricked into this. I was presented with a selection of songs with which to choose from, and they were all, let's face it, quote unquote sexy. And after I was done, Tim declared it was the, what did you call it? Spring sex?
No, Garrett, you'll know when we're having spring sex.
We won't be.
This is Sexy Spring. Completely different.
Sexy Spring. Could we class it up? Maybe call it Sensual Spring?
It's not going to be very sensual, Garrett. You heard doing it.
I was pretty sure you were going to say it's not going to be very classy. Both are accurate. Good stuff, Tim. Moving right along, what song or album have we been listening to for an entire week straight?
We have been listening to the debut self-titled David Bowie album. And no, I am not talking about the allegedly debut self-titled Bowie album from 1969 with Space Oddity on it that you are thinking of, stupid listener. We've been listening to the debut self-titled Bowie album from 1967 that you have definitely never heard unless you are either insane or some sort of pervert.
Or host of this show.
Fair enough. This was, of course, recommended to us by Sam, who, based on that insane pervert thing, probably doesn't want us to use his last name. But Sam wrote in to give this a great review. I apologize if I steal any of your song descriptions, Sam. He also would like to know that, yes, Garrett, he is a practitioner of Thelema. All hail Nuit, Hadit, and Rahur Kuhit.
Completely lost me. Good stuff. Great. And Tim, after an entire week with, oh, you know what, before I even ask the formal question, I love a good bit. You know that, right?
I do.
I'm going to need you to stop saying Bowie. I might murder you. Tim, after an entire week with David Bowie, I'm curious, do you hate this album?
No, Garrett, not at all. I might love this. This album, and this is true, is batshit insane. It is musically and lyrically maybe the strangest thing we've ever listened to on this show. It is nuts, and I am here for it. What about you? Do you hate fun?
No. Oh my, no. No, this is great. Well put. Do you like fun? Because that's what this is. It's a big ball of weird fun. It's like a dandy escaped from a mental institution and they've recorded songs in a fevered afternoon.
That's 100% what happened, and I wish the rest of this, honestly, this makes me dislike the rest of David Bowie's career slightly more.
Oh, you have to stop. You have to stop.
All right, but when once I get to that point in the history, we will resume again.
We will at least reevaluate.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to commit to your fictitious lies. Later, when I lie to you about some shit, you have to let me do it again. Absolutely not. We'll see how good the lie is.
All right.
Okay, you don't hate it, I don't hate it. It's for insanos and perverts alike. Before we can talk about it, though, I'm super curious. Prior to this week, Tim, had you heard any of this? Did you know it existed? What's your history?
No history with this album whatsoever. I thought that the Space Oddity David Bowie album was the first one. And I mean, I really like a good portion of this guy's music. I like that second self-titled debut album all the way through Aladdin Sane. There's Berlin stuff I'm interested in. There's some interspersed albums after that I like, all the way up to like Next Day and Black Star in the mid-2010s. I like Queens Under Pressure. I like the Stooges' Raw Power. I like Lou Reed's Transformer. I like Iggy Pop's Idiot in Lust for Life. I like that time in 1985 when he made love to Mick Jagger and we all just kind of watched.
Dancing in the Streets?
Right. Which is to say I am a selective fan, but when I like David Bowie, I really like David Bowie. And this album is no exception. As his single greatest work. What about you, Garrett? I assume you've never heard any of this either.
I had not. I had heard of the song Uncle Arthur, and just the title, I was like, no, I don't think I need to do that. I don't think so.
That's the shame of it, though. It makes you think it's going to be bad, and then it's fucking great.
It's so strange. God, I'm dying to talk about it, but we can't yet. My history with David Bowie is very similar to yours. Although I will add one additional bullet point. Considering how much David Bowie I do like, it's shocking how much David Bowie I don't.
That's fair. Yeah, there's a large... I guess I should have mentioned that too. At least 50% of his albums I have no interest in.
Yeah, which is wild but you said it perfectly. When I like David Bowie, I'm super into it. Like, It's not just like, oh, that's pretty good. It's like, fucking, I'm going to play this till it breaks.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Very similar histories. That is to say, we're fans, but, a little bandwagony. Before we can talk about the album, though, and I don't know how you're going to handle this situation. I assume it's just going to be lengthy as fuck.
Yes.
Oh, great. You don't have to list every album.
I'm not gonna. There's too many, and again, a lot of them I have no interest in. So
fantastic. Well then, Tim, take us on a journey. Help me understand. Help all of us understand, because I've seen the numbers. Got a lot of young listeners out there. Probably don't know the story of Mr. David Bowie. So take us on a journey. Help me understand. Help the listeners. Who is David W. Bowie?
Two issues here. I've heard you say Davis Bowie, and I don't care for that. The other is I am going to list all of his albums. I was lying to irritate you. There is an incredible amount of history for this fella. I will try and keep it short and pertinent. I failed on both of those accounts, but I did try. So listener, if I left out your favorite Bowie fact, leave it in the comments of Instagram or something. I don't know. If there are no comments there, I will assume I have covered every bit perfectly. David Bowie, aka David Robert Jones, aka Davy Jones, was born in 1947 in London, who is a completely different person from David Thomas Jones, aka Davy Jones, who was the guy from the Monkees. Our Davy was born to working class Brits. He was interested in music, particularly 50s rock and roll, very early. He was in the school choir, although he was only considered adequate. He was above average at the recorder, though. And he was super into dancing. His teacher said he was astonishing, vividly artistic, and danced like a possessed elf. One of those sounds like a negative thing.
Yeah.
But they all sound like euphemisms for won't shut the fuck up and sit still. He was really into Lowell Richard, Elvis, Chuck Berry, and Fats Domino, saying he heard God in the song Tutti Frutti.
That's a little over the top, but pretty much everything that he says and does is, so I'm not surprised.
Fair enough. Davey started playing T-chest bass, which is akin to like a washtub bass kind of thing. Ukulele, saxophone, and piano to play in skiffle bands, but mostly people were just impressed with his dancing. His family was also filled with a ton of crazy. There were multiple people in his family that had schizophrenia, including an aunt, somebody else that got a lobotomy to definitely cure that, and a half-brother who was 10 years older than him and was constantly between home and psych wards, but introduced him to jazz, beat poetry, Buddhism, and the occult.
Cool older brother.
Yeah. When he was 15, Bowie also got into a little bit of a dust-up with his buddy George Underwood over a young lass, you see. And George punched him in the eye, leading to several operations, 4 months in the hospital, and a final diagnosis of we're not going to be able to fix your weird fucking eye, which is why he has a weird permanently dilated pupil as a result that makes it look like he has two differently colored pupils, which he does not. But if you've ever gotten a real close-up look at David Bowie, he's got a weird face.
Yeah. well put.
Also at 15, while not getting his face punched by George Underwood, Davey started the band The Conrads with his buddy, you guessed it, George Underwood. Still friends, Garrett, lifelong friends. Then he left school and told his mom he was going to be a pop star, to which his mom responded to by getting him a job as an apprentice electrician. Smart,
mom.
I think, yeah. Bowie dumped the Conrads and joined the King Bees, where he got sort of a neighborhood management deal. They're, playing like wedding receptions and high school sock hops. I don't know what the fuck they did.
It's super hard for me to picture like a teenage David Bowie, because even this early album, there's like a lot of Bowie gravitas.
Yes.
So like, I'm picturing like a 15-year-old kid being like, I think we should be called the King Bees.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Davey, like, well, you don't fit with other children.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's going to continue here. The King Bees, again, they were getting a little bit promotion around the neighborhood, but his music was wildly unsuccessful. So he quit the band pretty immediately and started the band The Manish Boys. A band name that doubles as a pretty good description of me, although technically I am more of a boyish man.
Legally.
The Manish Boys were incredibly unsuccessful. So Bowie dumped those Manish Boys and joined the Lower Third, which was incredibly unsuccessful. So he got a new manager, transitioned into being a solo artist, and got a contract with Pi Records. He changed his name so that people wouldn't think he was that monkey's asshole, and he actually named himself after the Bowie knife and its slave trading namesake, which he apparently mispronounced. Sort of a real Katy Perry move.
Is that true?
Yes.
Huh.
May I call him Bowie for the rest of this?
And absolutely not, and here's why. Because had he known it was pronounced, God, what if we're wrong? Because we were raised in stupid, well, you were raised in the House of Saud, but I was raised in stupid Texas. What if it is Bowie?
Well, right, it's probably Bowie, and I should say Bowie for the rest of this.
No, you're not listening to me. You're hearing what you want to hear. Listen to my words. You asshole. There's a good chance it's James Bowie, and he's right and we're wrong.
Oh. Garrett, this was an American. I think we've got more claim to it than this British fop.
I mean, he is the dandiest fop I've ever met, but listen, whatever it takes for you to stop calling him Bowie.
God damn it. All right, I'll call him Davey Bowie.
That seems like a fair compromise.
His first single under the name David Bowie was also a flop, Garrett. He joined the band The Riot Squad, never released anything, and then at the age of 19 in 1967, he released the album of the week, David Bowie, which was a flop, and he quit the music business. Garrett?
No,
he did.
I mean,
he did.
right.
He studied avant-garde theater in mimery with Lindsay Kemp and decided that since everyone hated him and literally everything he had done musically thus far universally was hated, he would make some sort of weird persona and maybe people would be into that. He had a couple of songs that he had written become semi-popular with other artists, and then in 1969 he got the opportunity to tour with T-Rex. You like T-Rex, right?
I like 6 T-Rex songs.
Fair enough. Garrett, he was not touring as a musical act, of course. He was notably terrible at that. He toured with T-Rex as an opening mime. He was a filthy mime that performed before T-Rex.
I would have more respect for him if he was some sort of Jimmy Jr. interpretive dance type guy.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, well, that's what it sounded like you were describing. Like a real Jeju, just dancing it up as a little boy.
He wrote Space Oddity about how he was unsuccessful and alienated, and people liked that. He got a contract with Mercury Records and released the song with impeccable timing 5 days before the Apollo 11 launch. It was to be his last hit for the next 3 years. That must have been absolutely infuriating.
Yeah, I would imagine.
He released his makeup debut album, David Bowie, in 1969 and also got married the same year, get this, to a lady. Although it was apparently a very open marriage, and according to Angie, it was mostly to get her a work permit, and Bowie was sure to tell her, I'm not really in love with you prior to the marriage. Yes. They did have a son in 1971, though, naming him Duncan. He would go on to direct the movie Moon with that Sammy Rockwell fella that hangs out with you sometimes.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah.
And Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him.
You should call him. Okay. Bowie released The Man Who Sold the World in 1970. He started wearing the dress he was featured in on the cover to interviews and such. Then Hunky Dory in 1971, which is super underrated and overlooked. I believe you actually made me listen to that for the first time. I'd never heard it, and I love it, so thank you.
It's really really good.
Yep. Next, he got into the glam rock thing with the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars in 1972, and the whole stage show that went along with it. And this finally got him sort of the recognition he'd been searching for the past decade. From interviews, though, it seemed that he had gone insane and was thinking of Ziggy as a separate person that may or may not have been haunting him and trying to make him go further insane. He said, "Ziggy wouldn't leave me alone for years. That was when it all started to go sour. My whole personality was affected. It became very dangerous. I really did have doubts about my sanity." He would also publicly declare himself an unabashed homosexual the same year, although he would later take that back and say he was really more of a style pansexual, or at least bisexual. Probably have to bleep that name there.
Yeah, even though you mangled it.
Yeah, that's his name.
I didn't know that he ever actually... That's not how you say his name.
It is?
I didn't know... No, it isn't. There's no way. I'm trying to avoid having to bleep more, but you're just wrong. Anyway, God damn it, you're distracting. What was I talking about? Oh, right. I didn't know he ever actually came out.
Yeah.
I thought it was always just like a lot of rumors and stuff.
No, he declared it, but then he took it back.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just
Confused?
I was going to say fooling, but that's a weird goof.
Yeah. Weird,
Anyway.
Lifelong goof. According to a 2015
Wait,
interview...
no, he married several more women.
He did. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Lifelong goof.
Oh, I see. Goof the other way. Got it.
Yeah. According to a 2015 interview with Thrillist, though, Garrett, one of your buddies, Lori Maddox, a.k.a. Lori Lightning, and one of her friends were in fact deflowered by David Bowie when she was 14, saying, "Bowie de-virginized me. That night I lost my virginity and had my first threesome." Although she would make similar allegations against most of Led Zeppelin, who definitely basically kidnapped her for 2 years and hid her away in hotel rooms to keep that pesky law away. She would later claim to have lost her virginity to James Page and claimed affairs with Mick Jagger, Jeff Beck, Ronnie Wood, and a bunch of other people, all before she turned 18. Unclear how much of it is true, except for the Led Zeppelin stuff, which allegedly is definitely true, but most of it's probably true.
Right. I don't know what the legality of saying something is allegedly definitely true.
Allegedly, Led Zeppelin got so bored with sex, Garrett, that they got themselves a naked lady, and instead of banging her,
they did. Yeah. That story, it turns out one of those rare instances where you were like, oh, the version I heard was actually better.
Yeah. She tooth marks on her.
And you say because they were bored with sex, but that implies that this was to achieve a climax?
No. I'm just saying, instead of having sex with her, this was more fun for them.
Got it. Okay, so nobody's like finishing.
Oh, Garrett, I did not say that.
Oh, man. All right. No more questions.
David Bowie performed on and co-produced Lou Reed's excellent Transformer and the Stooges' excellent Raw Power. He had his first #1 album in 1973 with Aladdin Sane. He kind of folded that into the Ziggy tour thing. He went more into soul and funk with Diamond Dogs, and he said he wanted that to be this whole musical setting 1984, the book, to music. And then he got super into drugs, Garrett. So incredibly into drugs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he also got into fascism before that was cool. For some reason, he got stopped at various borders with Nazi paraphernalia in his car. He was arriving in open-topped Mercedes and doing alleged Nazi salutes, although apparently that's back, so I guess I can't fault him for it.
No, you can.
He was also saying things like, Britain is ready for a fascist leader. I think Britain could benefit from a fascist leader. After all, fascism is really nationalism. I believe very strongly in fascism. People have always responded with great efficiency under a regimental leadership. Adolf Hitler was one of the first rock stars.
Oh.
You've got to have an extreme right front come and sweep everything off its feet and tidy everything up. I want to be clear. These are quotes. These are quotes from him. These are not things I'm saying.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff in this album kind of supports that, but who has a fascism phase?
Well, Garrett, apparently a lot of people in the 70s, because these comments and some of Eric Clapton's resulted in the formation of the Rock Against Racism movement. And Bowie would, of course, to his credit, later retract all of this, saying, I was just on a shit ton of cocaine. But, I mean, I guess we should check
Forgiven.
that Elon blood for a shit ton of cocaine. Probably find it. Don't know if that's the cause. But my point is that Bowie was, I guess, the original K-Way.
Yeah, he does seem like the original K-Way. That That seems like maybe the most apt comparison you've ever made on this show.
Thank you. Wait,
also, word on the street, and this is super allegedly. I'm not saying this. The show's not saying this, but people are saying it's not cocaine. It's ketamine. That dude's whacked out on ketamine. Allegedly.
Not allegedly. That's true. Allegedly. But yes.
Yeah. Oh, he'll sue us.
I've got some of his blood, Garrett. We can test it.
Interesting.
In
Going
1976, David Bowie decided to get sober. And what better way, Garrett, if you, for example, wanted to get sober, how would you do it?
I'd probably
move to West Berlin with Iggy Pop, right? Yes.
I would not have Iggy Pop with me on my sobriety trip.
I guess they were planning on replacing cocaine with an equal amount of gay sex. At least that's what David Bowie was planning on doing. They did make good music, though, because Bowie released the Berlin trilogy, Low, Heroes, and Ludger, the latter of which I have not heard and have no interest in hearing, but I like the first two. Iggins released The Idiot and Lust for Life, produced in part by Davey, so it kind of worked out.
Yeah, what about the sobriety part?
Well, Garrett, he got divorced from Angie in 1980 after moving to Switzerland with her, and she got £500,000 paid in installments and a 10-year gagging clause, and then not wanting to fight over custody, she left their son with David, and she stated that she did this because David's drug habit had become so out of control that she thought giving him the responsibility of having a kid would stabilize him.
Interesting theory.
Not a great policy, but turns out she was right. It did.
Weird. Yeah, as a rule, that doesn't work out.
No, usually that kid dies.
Yeah, or the story I was telling you before we hit the mics.
Ooh, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Not about you. So, to be clear, it's about a different person.
Yeah. Wow.
About an unrelated party. Anyway, David Bowie had a weird 80s with a couple of bright spots in my mind. The first being 1981's Under Pressure with Queen. And the second is the incredibly sexy Dancing in the Streets thing he did with Michaels Jagger.
That thing, if people haven't seen it, I mean, seriously, like, how do you describe it?
Sexy.
No. How do you honestly describe it?
They remain clothed the whole time, but they enter one another while dancing.
It's the single...
Just watch it.
Listen.
It's the single, and I mean this in not a derogatory way, it's the single gayest thing I've ever seen.
Yes, it is much gayer than penetrative gay sex.
Yeah, but again, in a good way. We're pro David Bowie and Michaels Jagger.
Yeah, I'm not pro that song.
I am.
Why?
Song kicks ass.
So bad. It doesn't help, too, that they're in, like, white pants, loafers, and flowing silk shirts.
1985, Garrett.
The cocaine was flowing.
Yeah.
God, it's terrible.
Probably abandoned that kid on some sort of train.
Goodbye.
He turned out fine. Anyway, so those are the two things that David Bowie did in the 80s. In 1992, he got married to Iman and did a bunch more albums I am not particularly interested in. He did do the soundtrack to a 1999 video game called Omicron, The Nomad Soul, with Iman.
This is awful.
And voice characters based on them.
Yeah, Google this, people. It was bad. Also, you skipped over Labyrinth, which was sort of a big deal.
He continued to tour and release albums. He did the concert for New York City post 9/11. He did some collabos. He had an angioplasty released the next day in 2013. He got liver cancer in 2014. He debuted a musical called Lazarus and released the album Black Star on his 69th birthday, dying just 2 days later, saying that this would be his parting gift to his fans. And I'm pretty sure he kept that liver cancer under wraps. I remember being very surprised to hear that David Bowie died.
Yep, kept it to himself. I don't know how.
Yeah. There were a few posthumous releases. The only really notable one was Toy, released in 2021, which was originally recorded in 2000 and contained a bunch of songs he originally recorded in 1964 to 1961 and featured the most unpleasant cover I've seen in quite some time. It's his you remember that cover, the Disturbed cover with the
Oh yeah, the guy being born?
Yeah, it's worse than that. I'm more upset by it.
What about that Flaming Lips album cover that looks like it might actually be like a calf being born?
I don't know. I don't know.
Fair enough.
All in, he released 26 studio albums, 9 live albums, 2 soundtracks, 8 EPs, 26 compilation albums, 6 box sets, 128 singles, 28 video albums, which I believe is just a live video of him playing music. I don't know. 72 music videos. After Death, again, there was that other studio album, a compilation album, a soundtrack, 14 live albums. All told, he has sold over 100 million albums worldwide. Somehow, Black Star was his first #1 in the US on the the US Billboard 200. Yeah. And none of that even begins to compare to his influence on music and culture, and if I dare say so myself, sexuality. He was in a bunch of movies and TV shows, which we've sort of mentioned a little bit, but is not particularly relevant to this album. He was supposed to be the main villain in Blade Runner 2049, but he died, so Jared Leto got to be that.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a real casting what if.
Yeah.
Anyway, where are we? Is he dead? Oh, right. Is that it?
Yeah. The Fez.
And, let's dance to you.
Don't get the reference.
Oh, fantastic. It's gonna be one of those days. Okie dokie. Great history, Tim. Actually, much more succinct than I expected and very interesting. It's shocking he would have been the villain in 2049 because Jared Leto is, and this is a fact. Hold on, let me double check it. Gino, is this an official fact? Yeah, it's an official fact. Jared Leto in that movie is insufferable.
I think
That's
in
fact.
Life.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely movies I think he's great in.
Yes, but he does suck balls as a person.
God, probably. I'm a little nervous to give him like too much shit because I think he might be a wizard.
Oh, sure, Garrett. He can make you go insane and swallow your tongue like some sort of Hannibal Lecter.
Fascinating. Anyway,
I mean,
back
that's
to
his
the
only
album.
power, though, to be clear. So if you're worried about something different than that, you're on the clear.
Great. That's a pretty big one, though. Anyway, back to the album, Tim. Before we talk about any of the music, any of the songs, any of the strange themes, let's talk about the cover. Holy shit balls. What is this haircut? It's like every guy in the late 60s had this haircut. Jagger had this haircut. And if you're not familiar, listener, here's my description. It looks like they just like cut a square out for your face to peek through your hair.
Yeah.
But it also kind of looks like your Aunt Janet wanted to try something fun, but she lives in Wichita Falls, so her hairdresser like kind of winged it.
Yeah, I feel like it's something everyone was trying to have like a Beatles haircut and like not a lot of barbers knew how to do that or something.
Yeah, and some people have like curly hair, so it's not going to work.
Yeah, but it's a great look. And I mean, there's a good sweater. Like I love this haircut in like a good sweater that really just says like this guy's kind of a badass. Keep your daughters away from this guy.
Yeah, but like in a very unconventional way. He's not going to play football. He's going to like lure her with dance.
Yeah, maybe, or with some sort of candy. We'll get into it.
Or a potion.
Yes, he does have potions. Okay, Garrett.
Yeah, where do you even start? Just pick a thread.
Just the music. This album...
Unimpeachable.
I was going to say fucking insane. To be clear, like, so when we say we love this, I want to be very clear. This album does not rock. It does not roll. It is not rock and roll. There is minimal...
It's like show tunes.
Yeah, there's no instruments you'd associate with rock and roll. It sounds like it was inspired by like British dance hall. It's
Baroque pop.
Yeah, it
There's
sounds like
so
those,
many
like,
clarinets.
Yeah, it's like those 1910s like British military band things. It's vaudeville-y, it's croonery, it's just plain weird. Clearly, it was inspired a lot by Syd Barrett. You don't think so?
Example?
See Emily Play? Really early Pink Floyd, like Piper at the Gates of Dawn era Pink Floyd.
Yes, thank you.
So here's the problem. Because there's a lot of stuff I like on here. Like a lot of like really good musical stuff. And a good producer, a more experienced musician would have like incorporated those sounds into an actual album. And it would be legitimately great.
Yeah, but it would be borderline a White Album.
Right. Or at least a Sgt. Pepper's, which I think is...
Yeah, that's closer.
Yeah.
You're right.
But
that's
I mean,
closer.
here's the problem. In college, I had a friend who majored in like fashion design and merchandising or marketing or something along those lines.
I don't know this person.
You do.
Was it the lady that would always hang around you and
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I once asked her, like, what the deal with, like, fashion shows were. Like, why is this a thing? They're wearing clothes no one would possibly wear. Everyone looks ridiculous. They're wearing some sort of peacock costume. I don't get it. And she told me no one's going to wear that outfit, but it's showcasing, like, elements of stuff, right? So, like, a designer will highlight a certain thing and, like, wildly accentuate it. And clothes that will be coming out will have, like, mild versions of this, and people will actually wear those in the future. Like, I was sort of...
Weird. It's like concept cars.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I was saving this analogy for when we discussed Captain Beefheart's Trout Mask replica, but this album is like the fashion show version of an album, right? It's not the final product that somebody would actually listen to or wear or whatever, but he just put out the showcase version. And
yeah, it's much more of a look what we can do.
Right. And your album, just if you want people to like your album, it can't just be all all of this, or you're just some poor emaciated idiot up on a stage dressed head to toe in ruffles. It just, it doesn't work. I mean, listen, again, I love it. This album is fucking great.
It's so crazy.
But it doesn't
also,
work
like,
as music.
Now knowing what I know from your history, like, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but it's like super possible that he was struggling with some form of mental illness.
No, definitely he was, yeah.
I mean, there was that weird screed about fascism, but I'm willing to chalk that up to cocaine.
That's fair. This, I think, is what Paul McCartney wishes the Beatles had have sounded like.
Yes!
If this is the kind of thing, like...
It's all jubbly wobbly.
Yeah. This is the kind of
this
thing...
This guy needs a John Lennon to come marching in, grab a woman by the breasts and scream, "No, we're not going to do that. End of the world or I'm leaving.
No more granny shit." But yeah, because like this sounds like kind of like a bizarro version of like Sgt. Pepper's or the Village Green Preservation Society, but it's
like a 60s version of Wings.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, it was definitely recorded before either of those things was released, though.
That's what I mean. That's what makes it so strange.
Yeah, because he goes full Forest Nymph.
God, I can't stress enough how much woodwinds are involved and brass.
Yeah, like, I feel like if you ask the guys from Madman what their favorite album is, they might say this.
Well, I mean, there's definitely elements that I'm just like, oh, I'm not the first person to have heard this.
Yeah.
Like, there's other people that have clearly been influenced by this album.
The Beach Boys, I think, some of their, like, the fucking weird-ass album we listened to, like, I feel like there's a lot of shit that's
in here.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, again...
But to your point, it can't be all of it. Yeah. You can't do all of it.
Yeah, I think...
It's a Homer Simpson vehicle. There's too much bullshit.
Yeah, that's a really great way of saying it. Yeah, and I mean, it's, again, there's a lot of, like, really good stuff on here, but, like, maybe also have guitars, because I don't think... I mean, there's maybe one or two songs on this that have, like, the instruments you would expect from a rock album.
Yeah, and the rest do not. Like, for me, my closest analog that I know well is the Rolling Stones' Between the Buttons, because that's very period similar.
I mean, but I think even more like the Rolling Stones' Their Satanic Majesty's Request sounds like...
Well, that's okay. There's the big difference. That album, they're incorporating some of these stylistic choices, whereas Between the Buttons is, okay, still light years, like much more of like an album that isn't insane. Gotta be clear, like, folks, we're gonna get into it. Like, it's so crazy, but it's still that, like, let's put it in context for a minute. It's 1967. So the people that in the research, I looked at the dossier, Bowie is singing most of these songs for like the 4 years prior to recording them. And so the sensibility that informed, and granted they morphed a bit over that time, but still the sensibility that informed that is the early 60s. Like, we were barely a society, and in fucking England,
honestly, I think the sensibility, because like the early 60s were informed by like 50s rock and roll. I think the actual sensibility
goes even further back.
It's like late 1800s, early 1900s British dance hall music, or like
post World War I sensationalism,
possibly pre World War I. We'll get into it.
But there are several references to the Archduke Ferdinand.
Yeah,
so.
But I can completely understand why he had to take a 2-year break to mime after this. Like, I do not know how he had a career after this album.
Because no one heard it.
No, that's true. I guess I'm surprised he was able to come back with a second David Bowie album. That doesn't make any sense.
But it's genius. Because they'll be like, oh yeah, I've heard this. And you're like, no. It's brand new. It's my debut self-titled album. And they're like, oh, okay.
Maybe that's
why call it the exact same thing.
He was so into fascism, he wanted to like go back and burn all the copies of that previous thing.
Didn't you do this 2 years ago? No, I did nothing of the sort. Now you listen. It's the first time. You have never heard the Bowie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're beating around the bush. I think it's time to dive in and really just, folks, prepare yourselves.
Absolutely. And in fact, prepare yourselves by pausing this and going to listen to this. It's like 30 minutes long. Listen to this entire album. Just do it. You'll thank us.
It's so crazy. And like, last thing I'll say, because it's the thing that probably makes it for me. The music is so strange and so baroque and so out of time, but it is still combined with a largely, not entirely, but a largely familiar vocal styling of Mr. David Bowie.
He does sound like he's doing a John Lennon voice at some points on this thing.
Absolutely, but it's still fucking David Bowie. Yeah. And so like the clash of that gravitas and at times seemingly old British man that I assume he was like 23 when he recorded this? I don't even know.
19.
Oh my God. It's wild to think that he sounded like that, which makes me think it's a lot of affectation.
Oh, yeah.
But in any event, it's hilarious because the things he sings about and the style of the music are at tremendous odds with the Bowie voice.
Well, yeah, and they're also at tremendous odds with why would any 19-year-old at any point in history be interested in any of this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's show tunes.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Let's dive on in. Track number 1, Uncle Arthur.
Uncle Arthur still reads comics. Uncle Arthur follows Batman.
I mean, musically, this is something that only makes sense if played at a Renaissance fair, right?
It's a truly strange decision to open the song with an oboe.
Yeah,
but they do.
It's upbeat, though. It's kind of fun. There's lots of claps on here. And
so many claps.
This is a song about, and I don't know how to say this nicely, but
simpleton.
A simpleton, exactly. That's the word I have written down. It's about a developmentally challenged man in the town that David Bowie grew up in. At the very best, it's about like a Simpsons comic book guy kind of, which honestly is what we're saying. It's about a man with severe autism who is not progressing throughout the developmental stages as he should.
Yeah, emotionally stunted at best.
But yeah, so this describes this man's mundane life, right? Strikes the bell for 5 o'clock, Uncle Arthur closes shop, screws the tops on all the bottles, turns the lights out, locks it up, climbs across his bike, and he's away, past the gasworks, past the river, down the high street, back to mother. It's another empty day. So it's a guy whose life is sort of meaningless, right? He lives with his mom, he works at this bottle store, I don't know what.
Screws the tops on all the bottles. Probably a bar, maybe?
Maybe.
It's a shop, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's better than a bottle shop.
Who knows? Doesn't really matter.
Maybe it's just a whole store filled with salad dressings. You come in, you dress up,
yeah,
dress
I like
up your
that.
salad and go. Do you guys also sell the salads? Get out. Oh, Uncle Arthur.
Yeah.
Song continues. Uncle Arthur likes his mommy. Uncle Arthur still reads comics. Uncle Arthur follows Batman. Wait, what?
Again, he's like a comic book guy, right?
Yeah, I hope. Here's another way to put it. Sort of a Buster Bluth situation.
Yes, he is Buster Bluth.
Like, it's not quite developmentally challenged. It's just, I guess as the title says, arrested development.
Yeah.
Also, like, they do imply, we're going to get into it, that the mother might be manipulating the relationship a little bit, which gave me the Buster Bluth vibes.
So much. We're going to get into that more. Because he apparently meets a girl and they get married, right?
Yeah.
Round and round the rumors fly how he ran away from Mum. On his 32nd birthday, told her he'd found a chum. Mother cried and raved and yelled and fussed. Arthur left her no illusion, brought the girl round, saved confusion. Sally was the real thing, not just lust. And here's what I think is so much more sinister. Because, Garrett, is it possible that his mom is like poisoning him with lead or something? To keep him under her wing, right? His dad died in the war.
Sure.
He's all the mom has, and she wants to make sure that he never grows up and gets married and leaves her, so she's putting a little, like, maybe antifreeze in his cereal every morning.
I was thinking a little saltpeter in the coffee.
That's a
keeps
good
down
choice.
the urges.
Yeah.
And then a little arsenic in the eggs. A little arsenic in the eggs.
Interesting, Garrett. Now, I have noticed my eggs taste a bit bitter, and I've been using the same lizard and snake eggs I do every morning.
A lot of people don't know you can eat reptile eggs. You cannot.
Uncle Arthur vanished quickly. Uncle Arthur and his new bride. Uncle Arthur follows Sally. So he runs off. He leaves his mom for Sally.
Weird controlling mother. Sort of a Lee Harvey Oswald situation.
Are we basing that entirely off 11/22/63?
Would it change your opinion if I said yes?
No, not at all.
Then yes.
Oh.
So it seems like he's got himself, out from under the thumb of his mum, and Sally's gonna save the day, but the song continues. Round and round goes Arthur's head. He hasn't eaten well for days. Little Sally may be lovely, but cooking leaves her in a maze.
Now, let me stop you right there. I think what's happened here is he's grown accustomed to this poison that she's giving him. And her food doesn't taste good to him because it's not filled with poison.
Maybe, and this would be truly sinister, she's just putting a tremendous amount of powdered caffeine into his food. So anytime he goes any amount of time without getting his mother's food, tremendous headaches. Won't kill you, but you'll be like, God damn it, when I don't eat what my mom makes me, I get fucking headaches.
Honestly, at this point in time, she could be putting like opiates in there. Just go down to the store and buy those opiates.
Sweet, sweet opiates.
It was a better time, Garrett.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
1967 Britain.
Uncle Arthur packed his bags and fled. Back to mother, father, all's forgiven. Serving in the family shop. He gets his pocket money. He's well fed. So, eventually mommy got him back, probably jonesing for those delicious opiates, and got back and got his fix, and he's, fuck Sally.
Yeah, poor Sally. Is she simple too?
No, she's a sexual predator.
Oh, well, then the first of 14 songs that are kind of about a sexual predator. Awesome.
Yeah, but it's a special twist. Or she was a gold digger. Maybe she was trying to get her hands on that family shop, knowing that she could probably sell it out from Uncle Arthur once his mother was dead.
Maybe they were trying to poison each other.
Oh, classic.
I think, is that like a bonding moment between a mother and her daughter-in-law when you both realize, you've put poison in each other's food? And
or you're both poisoning Arthur. Track number 2, Sell Me a Coat.
Sell me a coat with buttons of silver. Sell me a coat.
La 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 la.
Yeah, this one.
La 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 la. A lot of that for 30 seconds straight. It's not great.
No, every time I got to this, I was like, maybe I do hate this album because this song's kind of infuriating. It's nursery rhymey, and it seems to literally just be describing a goddamn coat. I'm not sure that there's a metaphor here.
No, I had to really kind of stretch it this week for this one. And what sucks is it's the only one for me that just kills all my momentum.
Absolutely. And it's so early in this album. So I guess you get to get it back afterward, but...
Yeah, but it sucks.
Yeah.
So, as I said, we open with a lot of very lighthearted Lawrence Welk style la 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 la, and it's awful. But the song itself is only funny to me because it's so bouncy, but it's still Bowie, and it's all nonsense. So let's get into it. He says, a winter's day, a bitter snowflake on my face. My summer girl takes little backward steps away. Jack Frost took her hand and left me. Jack Frost ain't so cool. Best I can do. This is a guy that maybe likes to abduct women. He's putting them in pits or keeping them maybe in outdoor caves. Forgets to put a coat on her, and good old Jack Frost kills her overnight.
I think his girlfriend probably just broke up with him, and he's
you're probably right.
Winter. But then he says, "Sell me a coat with buttons of silver. Sell me a coat.
Sell me a coat with buttons of silver.
Sell me a coat that's red or gold."
He may just need a coat because he's cold.
Yes, this is a song about wanting a coat. Sell me a coat with buttons of silver. Sell me a coat that's red or gold. Sell me a coat with little patch pockets. Sell me a coat because I feel cold. That's repeated 9 times in this. No, not that many, but way too many times. Yeah.
And folks, you've never heard this song. You already know the rhythm, and I will say I do enjoy saying with little patch pockets. It's a fun thing to say. I don't even know what they are. I guess they're little patches that were pockets. Anyway, and when she smiles, the ice forgets to melt away. Not like before, her smile was warm in yesterday. See the trees like silver candy, feel my icy hand. I know it's probably about a breakup, but it does kind of sound like he murdered her.
Yeah, I think definitely she's at least out in the cold without a coat.
Well, yes, and he put her there.
Perhaps.
He took the coat and he put her there.
Perhaps he put her there and then realized she would be cold. He went home and, he's eating with Uncle Arthur and Mum, and all of a sudden he's like, holy shit, she's going to need a coat. And so he's running out to the store. He's like, sell me a coat. Buttons of silver, red or gold, don't really care about that.
I love this. I love that he's at dinner with Mum and Uncle Arthur, and she's like, who's going to get bloody cold this evening? And he's like, oh God, I've got to go take care of my ward. What? Buy me a coat with buttons of silver. It's so stupid. Okay, so let's continue. Well, in the first verse, he says, where does he say it? My summer girl takes little backward steps away. That's somebody backing away cautiously.
Yeah.
And
it's somebody who used to smile in the warmth and now is smiling, but there's ice on her face.
She froze to death. And if there was any confusion at all, he continues. See my eyes, my window pane. See my tears like a gentle rain. That's the memory of the summer day. Yeah, he remembers when she was still alive, and he's crying next to his frozen pop. Oh,
sell
and then the chorus.
Sell me a coat of buttons and silver. Sell me a coat.
Sell me a coat of red and gold. Sell me a coat with little patch pockets.
Sell me a coat because I feel cold. It's a great song now that I think about it.
We hate it, but it's great.
Yeah, it does end with a bunch more la-la-las. Ugh.
Oh, all right. Track number 3, a much more fun rubber band.
Won't you play your haunting theme again to me? While
Lots of horns on this one.
It sounds like John Philip Sousa.
Yes, and the weird thing, the cadence and vocal delivery make this seem like it's going to be about something important.
But it isn't.
It definitely isn't. It's very, like, British, stiff upper lip and such.
Yeah, it's very theatrical. I learned that this song particular, as well as most of the songs on this album, are inspired by this dude, Anthony Newley. You know this guy?
I don't.
Star of film, stage, and music in Britain from like 1946 to 1978, we'll say. Oh no, he was even doing it in like 84. Anyway, the only thing that's particularly interesting to you and me is he was nominated for an Academy Award for the score for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1971.
Oh.
That's who that guy is.
Right.
So that's the inspiration. I went and looked at a bunch of his stuff, and it ranges from like super theatrical to loungy. He hosts like the 1984 Miss Britain. It's hilarious. Go Google it. But in any event, it explains why some of this feels as though we're watching a stage performance or what would later become the Black Parade.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of this feels like there should be a film accompanying it. Like these feel like they're stories. They're part of an actual like narrative, but that needs that actual movie for this to make any goddamn sense.
A shocking number of these songs have music videos.
Really? I did not know any of them did, because why would they?
Right, because it's the 60s, but they do. They're terrible.
I imagine.
But they do exist. Before we read the lyrics, these are some of the instruments in this song. Trumpet, oboe, tuba, heavy tuba use. I love it.
Now, I noticed you didn't read like guitar or bass guitar.
Correct.
All right, then.
Song
Rock and roll.
begins. Rubber band. There's a rubber band that plays tunes out of tune in the library garden Sunday afternoon while a little chappie waves a golden wand. Pause. So there's a brass band in their little library town hall thingy, and it plays tunes poorly.
Yes.
K. In 1910, I was so handsome and so strong. My mustache was stiffly waxed and 1 foot long. And I loved a girl while you played tea time tunes. So, it's the Roaring Tens, picture it. He's got a giant, dangerous, pointy mustache and a lady that he loves going to see a brass band with for some reason.
Absolutely. And I'm imagining him in like full like big game hunter outfit inexplicably.
He's Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah. Like, I mean, the guys that went and ruined Africa before we just ruined Africa for realsies.
Right.
Yeah, how Britain likes to think of themselves up to World War II or so.
Oh, chap, killing rhinoceroses, I am. Good.
Yes.
Till they're gone. Yes.
I've brought back a rhinoceros head.
I'm wearing it as a hat. I'm having soup out of mine. Anyway, you people are stupid.
Yes. The main character is a World War I veteran, we find out. Won't you play a haunting theme again to me while I eat my scones and drink my cup of tea? The sun is warm, but it's a lonely afternoon. This is how tough Brits were, right? Like, you know, you're out there, you're shooting elephants right in the face, but you're gonna have your tea and scones. It's important.
It's such a weird cultural thing. I don't understand it. Let's get some stale biscuits and some warm water.
Yes. How I wish I could join your rubber band. We could play in lively parks throughout the land, and one Sunday afternoon I'd find my love.
Let's hold it right there. Couple things. This paints the story for me. Paints the picture. To me, he goes off to the war. He's fighting for whatever we were fighting for in World War I. I think it was nutmeg. And he comes back to his lady love, and she's run off with the conductor of the brass band.
Well, we get that more explicitly later.
Sure. But for whatever reason, he says he wants to join this rubber band to find his love.
Well, right. But that's because we find out in the 1418 war I went to sea, thought my Sunday love was waiting home for me, and now she's married to the leader of your band. Oh, so she ran off with this guy. He wants to be in the band because apparently that's what she's into.
Well, Tim, this got me wondering, what do you call a brass band groupie? I came up with some names.
A brassy.
That's not bad. I'll give you a few of mine. A brass hole.
Ooh.
A horn dog.
I like that.
Blowhards.
Garrett, these are well thought out.
Yeah, they really are. Tromboners.
That one just feels crass.
Trumpet humpers.
Not that one, though.
Or simply spit valves.
Garrett, I cannot condone that last one. Oh my God.
Just earn that explicit tag.
Stop referring to women that way.
Well, I don't. Unless they are, of course, brass band groupies.
It occurred to me during this song that Neutral Milk Hotels and the Aeroplane Over the Sea might be the really excellent version of this album.
You might be right. Oh my God.
It comes back later because, and I know, listener, you wouldn't think of it, or you wouldn't imagine that this is the direction this album is headed, but pedophilia and Nazis are coming.
Yeah, just around the corner. Good God.
Yeah.
Song ends with him breaking down and screaming and crying. You just hear him kind of off mics go, "Oh yeah, I hope you break your button."
I kind of like that bit. So petty.
Oh, it's great. It's just so petty.
Yeah.
I assume he's Count of Monte Cristoing it, so he's going to join this brass band and hunt around the country, gaining a reputation as a great tromboner, and then eventually hired by this dude only to reveal himself as the man whose lady he had stolen and stab him with his conducting stick.
Or at least steal that young spit valve back.
That's right. You're coming home with me, spit valve.
Track number 4, Love You Till Tuesday.
Just look through your window. Look who sits outside.
Before we get into the topic of the song,
Okay.
super upbeat, lots of xylophones, lots of strings, lots of da-da-das. I feel like this could have been a huge hit in like 1962.
Yes.
He also sounds a lot like John Lennon in the song. He does that like really nasally Lennon caricature voice thing. Although it gets real sinister by the end of this song.
It starts sinister.
No, okay, hold on. The song starts sinister. His voice sounds sinister by the end, right? Like,
Oh, yeah. He's gritting his teeth.
because this song is about a peeper.
Dude, this is a super upbeat song about a stalker. It is so disturbing, it has to be a joke.
Maybe.
Opens with some creepy da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. And if that doesn't put you in the mood, he begins, "Just look through your window. Look who sits outside." Wait. And folks, that isn't. He continues, "Little me is waiting, standing through the night. When you'll walk out through your door, I'll wave my flag and shout." Let's just cut it right there. This man's a peeper, but Tim, to me, the more alarming part is the celebration and information of the victim that he's gonna be there.
Yeah, he is. This is not actually a peeper. This is a man who peeps, but is going to be like right outside that door. And
Boy, what do you call that? Public peeper or a declared peeper? Well, what do you call somebody that's actively looking through your window, watching you sleep, but wants you to know it? Oh, voyeur. No, that'd be if you invited them.
I don't know. Listener, write in. What do you call yourself?
You creep. Song continues. Let me back it up one line just to really deliver it. "When you walk out through your door, I'll wave my flag and shout, oh, beautiful baby, my burning desire started on Sunday. Give me your heart and I'll love you till Tuesday."
It's odd, though, because, I mean, we have to keep in mind this is informed by the early 60s, right? When he actually wrote these songs. This might have been romantic then. There was a lot of creepy bullshit. Like, listen to Buddy Holly's songs. There are some, frankly, dangerous ideas in them.
Yeah, I mean, basically every romantic comedy up through 1998 embodied the basic sense of just stalk her till she says yes.
Yes. And I mean, Garrett, have you not employed this? A little? Just kind of keep being there, and eventually...
Tyler's words coming out of my mouth. God damn.
Ooh.
Hopefully we've cut some of that.
Probably not, though. Who's that hiding in the apple tree, clinging to a branch? Don't be afraid, it's only me, hoping for a little romance. If you lie beneath my shade, I'll keep you nice and cool.
It's got that candy icing. Keeping that cool candy icing flowing from that tree.
Yeah. And listen, I'm outside your window in a tree, pants around my ankles, just waiting for that magical time between the time that you're, doing stuff and in bed, the time that you're, how do I say this? Changing clothes.
New Ed.
Right. And, we all know the sick thrill of a peep, but peepers...
I'll be shouting, "Look at me."
Yeah.
"Do you see me? Do you see what I'm doing outside outside your window. Yes.
It's like a combination flasher peeper. It's a peep flasher.
Yes. It's a non-consensual flash. Well, that's always a flash. It is a combo flash peep. It's a peep flash. A plash, a fleep.
A fleep.
These are not
He's
great.
a fleeper.
He's a okay, I like fleeper. What's a fleeper? Well, he peeps you, but then he gets your attention and he flashes you the moment you look.
He's peeping on you and then he forces you to peep him back.
Yeah, but I'll be fair, Tim. I always assume most peepers are J and that D.
No, absolutely. But in general, you want to remain at least
Keep it on the DL.
Yeah. Like maybe
that's right. Because the pleasure's not from them seeing you do it. In a whole peep scenario is they don't know you're there. You're right. I don't know what I was thinking.
I mean, maybe if they get a little glimpse as you leave, just so they know that you've been there. Wow. But yeah, you don't want to do anything that might get the law involved. Certainly.
I wish you hadn't said that. Song continues. Love, love, love you till Tuesday. Love, love, love you till Tuesday. But this is delivered. Love, love, love you till Tuesday.
Yeah, it gets more violent sounding.
Yeah, real violent. He's climaxing.
Yeah, and I mean, that's basically the rest of this song, right?
Oh, well, then he gives you, just when you're thinking, fine, I'll just stay in my fucking house till Tuesday, and this psychopath will finish and go home. He gives you one last little warning. Well, maybe I'll stretch it till Wednesday.
Yeah. Track number 5, There Is a Happy Land.
There's a special place in the rhubarb fields.
This, Garrett, there's no other way to say it.
It's so silly. It's Chuck Mangione level good trumpeting here.
Sure, but it's about a pedophile who has a children dungeon.
Oh, see, I really tried to take the high road here. Glad you didn't.
It sounds
important.
You know that Rick and Morty episode with the Fruity Land thing where Rick designs a weird dimension and then that neighborhood kid gets stuck there and he starts, banging and eating all the horrible...
I see. I see. Yeah. No, okay. I'll go with you down that road in just a moment. Before we do, for those listeners that love Will Forte as much as I do, if you're familiar with the SNL sketch or sketches where he is supposed to be a coach inspiring a team and all he does is just dance to somebody playing a trumpet and gets everybody psyched, that's this song.
Yeah. But at the very best, it's about some sort of Michael Jackson Neverland Ranch situation, but the door's locked from the outside only.
I'll do you one better. What if Peter Pan went home and didn't tell the Lost Boys?
Oh.
They were just left there to go full Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, I'm picturing some sort of indoor playpen thing like Squid Games, the sun and the sky and clouds are painted on the walls, but there's nothing but violence on the ground, Garrett.
Well, sure, because they've been there for decades, Tim, but they're still boys. I think that's how that island works.
Maybe it's
Neverland?
more of like a Charlie Manx scenario.
Oh, God, don't make it Christmas land.
Let's get into this. There's a happy land where only children live. They don't have the time to learn the ways of you, sir, Mr. Grown-Up. There's a special place in the rhubarb fields underneath the leaves. It's a secret place, and adults aren't allowed there, Mr. Grown-Up. Go away, sir.
The moment you say Mr. Grown-Up, you have gone off the rails.
Right, like I'm picturing David Bowie, like half dressed as Ziggy Stardust. Like he's also got a Willy Wonka costume on top of that, but it's kind of half-assed. And he's standing outside of a house, blocking the view through like the cracked door, telling a cop, Mr. Grown-Up, go away, sir.
Yeah, he's basically dressed like his character from Labyrinth.
Or what if again, they say it's a Christmas land situation, right? Charlie Manx, but like there's nothing magical about it. He just kind of thinks it is. So he's got some
so it's just like a 2-story walk-up in Queens.
Right. And he's standing outside of it trying to not let any adults check on the kids he's definitely eating inside.
Yeah, let's make it that. I do think like the idea that he's eating the children.
It's better. That's honestly, if this song is about murdering and eating children, it's better than what this song's about.
I was going to say it was about the innocence of childhood, but you make a very compelling case. Let's continue. The lyrics are fun because it, for me, vacillates between Bob Dylan's stream of consciousness and Beatles nonsense.
Yeah, but Garrett, the lasciviousness with which this is sung makes me...
Charlie Brown's got half a crown, he's going to buy a kite. Jimmy's ill with chicken pox and Tommy's learned to ride his bike. Tiny Tim sings prayers and hymns, he's so small we don't notice him. He gets in the way, but we always let him play with us. Yeah, that is creepy.
Garrett,
That is creepy.
let me read you the next bit.
Oh, well, this isn't gonna age well.
Mother calls, but we don't hear. There's lots more things to do. It's only 5 o'clock, and we're not tired yet. But we will be very shortly.
The way he says, but we will be very shortly, honestly sent chills down my spine. It is upsetting.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then
I can't fight it.
He seems to taunt the adults, Garrett. There's a happy land where only children live. You had your chance, and now the doors are closed, sir. Mr. Grown-Up, go away, sir. You had your chance to be molested by me, but you did not want it.
Oh, God,
you did not want
He's
it.
eating them. He's eating them.
You're not getting anything from me now. You're a adult man. That's not what I'm interested in. Jesus Christ. What is Garrett? It seems like he's luring children to him like Brothers Grimm style,
I was gonna say, maybe he's running like a children's butcher shop.
where the children are working. They're forced to work in the butcher shop, right?
No, they're the meat.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's just like, go away, Mr. Grown-Up. Stop trying to steal. Oh, and then it ends with like 30 seconds of him going,
It's a weird scat that he does.
It's bad. It's
Yeah.
bad. Track number 6. We are hungry men.
I formed my own society to crush the power of the
And then, Garrett, inexplicably, we're veering into Nazi-adjacent territory. I don't think anyone was expecting this.
I certainly was not expecting a German newscast.
Yeah, again, this might be the worst version of Nutrimokotel possible.
It's entirely possible.
Great chance for Gargle to do his German voice, though.
I was going to say, do you want me to do my German voice or his German voice?
Yours, please.
Okay. Here in the news, according to the latest World Population Survey, the figures have reached danger point. My God. London, 15,075,000. New York, 80 million. Paris, 15 million and 30. China, 1,000 million. Billington Spa, lots.
It sounds like he's just complaining that his spa is crowded, right?
Yeah, I think it's just a long line for the spa.
Yeah. And
also, just why?
I think the song is making fun of the idea that the world is overpopulated. Like, there was a lot of, like, concern, specifically in the 60s, about this, and thankfully, that didn't happen, so that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think he's kind of making fun of this. Like, he heard this, and he's like, I don't buy that. It's like, the climate change thing.
Right. Wait, what?
The bullshit, Garrett. The bullshit that these scientists keep...
Stop it. Okay, so after the German news story, quote unquote, we get super heavy horns. It's crazy upbeat genocide anthem. It's great. He says, my studies include exophagy. I formed my own society. To crush the power of fecundity, the world will overpopulate unless you claim infertility. So who will buy a drink for me? Your Messiah. Wow, lots to get in there. First, he is pro-eating people in order to keep the population down. He is claiming he's formed his own society to crush the power of fecundity. So for people that are, populating en masse, is what he means there. He's worried the world will overpopulate unless you, commit to infertility. And so basically the whole thing was just a ploy so that someone would buy him a drink in a bar.
Fair enough. I really love the delivery of the chorus, though. The "We are not your friends. We don't give a damn for what you're saying. We're here to live your lives." This is the first time that, it really hits and you're just like, oh, this is, genuinely catchy in a, 60s rock kind of way on this album. And we're in song, I don't know, 6? Is that right?
Yes.
So that should have happened by now.
Ideally.
He does seem to be genuinely anti-abortion and also anti-birth control here.
Yeah.
Which is very odd. I did read that this was released kind of just after abortion was legalized in England, though.
Same year.
Yeah, but he says, I propose to give the pill free of charge to those that feel that they are not infertile. That's not a word.
Yeah. Nope.
The crops are few, the cattle gone. There's only one way to linger on, so buy a drink for me, your Messiah. And then we get the German again.
Achtung! Achtung! These are your orders. Anyone found guilty of consuming more than their allotted amount of air will be slaughtered and cremated. Only 1 cubic foot of air is allowed.
And then he says, I have prepared a document legalizing mass abortion. We will turn a blind eye to infanticide, which makes me really very much phrased like he's super anti that. But
yeah,
the way he delivers these last 2 lines bothered me all week, and I finally figured it out. This delivery is the exact cadence, the exact vocal style that was used in parts of Repo, the genetic opera, like specifically the Paul Sorvino parts.
Yes.
It is identical to that.
Oh my God. Dude, I was watching Goodfellas, as I do like every 3 weeks. And every time I see Paul Sorvino now, I immediately think of Repo the Genetic Opera.
That's so tragic for him.
I know. I'm just like, you poor bastard. It didn't get good at the end. God.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Great callback.
Yes, it was. Thank you. It continues in that vein. I think we've hit most of the highlights. But we do end with some really gross, like eating mouth noises that I could really have done without.
Can't stand mouth noises. I cannot sit in a silent room and listen to somebody eat. I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Ugh. Alrighty. Track number 7, When I Live My Dream.
When I live my dream, please be there to meet me.
Really don't like this song.
It borders on crooning, reminds me a little bit of Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Yeah, it seems to be about he got dumped, so he's retreating into some sort of fantasy world about how he wants to, like, white knight for this lady or something, and I just not interested.
It's either like a borderline incel anthem, or it's about a supervillain who plans on trapping his ex into a Matrix-style living dream.
Maybe, but, like, he's very clear that he is, like, she can just be plowed by however many men she wants.
Okay, what if his dream, when I live my dream, actually means when I ascend to heaven? Because she can have that mortal life, Tim, and I believe most Christians are like, whatever happens there stays there once you hit the eternal salvation. It's kind of a reset button.
Oh, no, you stay married in heaven.
That can't be right.
No, it is. It is. It's very awkward for people that have gotten, a spouse dies and then gets remarried.
Well, what do you do then?
They're just both there.
Is it polygamy?
No. I mean, in heaven, Garrett, in heaven, you can do whatever you want sexually. That's what makes it heaven. The point being...
But you have to stay, but you're legally still married.
Oh, sure. Like you have to, every night you have to come home and there's, they're there and they're probably fighting. They never met. Maybe they did.
Okay, so they're still, they both live with you.
Yes, of course. In your mansion.
Wait, okay, in your mansion.
But it's still not big enough for 2 wives, Garrett.
Detail anyone needed. That's all right. Gino, put it on the board. Multiple marriages in heaven. All right, we'll get to that later. When I live my dream, I'll take you through it quickly. Stop me if I miss anything.
I won't, because I hate this song.
He begins, when I live my dream. It's very bad. I'll take you with me, riding on a golden horse. We'll live within my castle, with people there to serve you, happy at the sound of your voice. So, living his dream could just be being successful down the road, or it could mean his ultimate dream or success of death.
I do not care.
Fantastic. Baby, I'll slay a dragon for you, or banish wicked giants from the land. But you will find that nothing in my dream can hurt you. We will only love each other as forever when I live my dream. Again, is it some sort of Matrix-style living dream, or is he possibly talking about heaven?
Could be either. I assume that heaven will be very much like the Matrix.
You would think, right? God, I often wonder if there were a heaven, which of course we are saying together that there isn't.
Disagree, but carry on.
If there were, like, what are the boundaries? Am I allowed to set up scenarios? Is it dream rules? Can I fly? Can I teleport? Am I able to slay a dragon, for instance, or fight werewolves at my behest? Can I do those things, Tim?
You
in your
can,
fake
but
heaven?
you have no additional powers, so you're just going to be mauled by those werewolves, and then you'll respawn in great pain. I might be thinking of hell. I don't know.
Fair enough. Okie dokie, song continues. Till the day my dream cascades around me, I'm content to let you pass me by. You know what? Feel free to ignore me, lady. I don't mind at all. Till that day, you'll run to many other men, but let them know it's just for now. Tell them I've got a dream, and tell them you're the starring role. He's gonna kill this lady, Tim.
I don't know. Actually, you know what? I don't know that's true. I like your idea that maybe he's talking about heaven. His dream is heaven. So he knows he's married her, and even if they get divorced, she's still tethered to him in the afterlife. So he's just like, hey, bang whoever you want. The second you die, you're right back here. You can't do anything about that. That's Jesus's rules.
He supersedes your United States.
Yeah.
Tell them they can laugh at me, but don't forget your date with me when I live my dream.
Now, the only way she could get revenge on him is if she got married to another guy, because then, when they all died, there'd be that other guy there. That'd be awkward.
So what happens then? Group home?
Well, again, it's a mansion, you can fit a whole bunch of other people there. How many people could you possibly marry that you couldn't fit them in a mansion?
I think it's reasonable to think 2 people who were once married could have married 2 other people. So a total of 3 per person, and then each one of those people.
Oh my God. I didn't even think of that. You know what, Garrett? Maybe heaven doesn't make that much sense.
Turtles all the way down. All right. Track number 8. One that's not on every version of this album, but it's on ours. Little Bombardier.
Why was he friends with the children? Were they
musically
just
a weird little vaudeville sounding number?
It's a waltz.
It's a waltz with lots of strings, brass instruments, and lyrically, Garrett, it seems to be telling a story very much like that first Rambo movie about a gentleman who comes back from the war, comes to town. The difference here is that in this scenario, Sly has a thing for children.
Wait, what?
He's trying to lure children to him, Garrett.
Oh, right.
Yes.
I really had a rose-colored glasses situation this week.
Oh, no.
I tried...
And we have to remember this song specifically because this song reoccurs in at least one other song. The character from this song makes a reappearance.
Yeah, he really does. Song begins. War made him a soldier, little Frankie Mere. Peace left him a loser, the little bombardier.
Just like Rambo.
Yep. Frankie drank his money, that little that he made, told his woes to no man, friendless, lonely days.
Just like Rambo.
Then one day in the ABC, 4 bright eyes gazed longingly at the ice cream in the hand of the little bombardier.
Here's where it departs a bit from Rambo.
You want kids want to live with me? He continues. 2 young children had changed his aims. He gave them toffees and played their games. He brought them presents with every coin he made.
Right, so he's bringing... basically he's luring children to him with candies and games and little trinkets.
I chose to believe that he discovered 2 homeless children and they gave him a reason to live.
You remember where Rambo was living in the woods in that First Blood film?
It's like a Kaczynski thing, right?
Sort of. Point being, he's taken these children to the woods.
Oh yeah, he's definitely living in the woods.
With these children that are not his. And 2 gentlemen called on him, asked him for his name. Why was he friends with the children? Were they just a game? So we know at least in this song, David Bowie knows that this is inappropriate.
He got halfway through and was like, it's David Bowie. I should probably have a verse about how he's not a pedophile.
Leave them alone or we'll get sore. We've had blokes like you in the station before. The hand of authority said no more to the little bombardier. Packed his bags, his heart in pain, wiped a tear and caught a train, not to be seen in the town again, the little bombardier.
I want to believe it's a Bruce Banner Incredible Hulk situation.
Sure, absolutely. Again, if Bruce Banner, or excuse me, David Banner, because...
Oh, yeah, that's right. If 1980s America wasn't ready for a man named Bruce. What?
Was it? Well, we'll get into that later. But yes, it's that exact same scenario, except when he gets mad, instead of transforming into some sort of Lou Ferrigno-esque green man, he's a diddler. Yeah.
Oh, God. Can't he be more of like a fleeper?
At best, this is innocent. The police have misinterpreted it as weirdness. But if so, then this is David Bowie's cautionary tale about, listen, yes, sure.
Don't help children.
No. Garrett, this is a cautionary tale to the town. He's saying, look, sometimes there's going to be a man in town who's super into your children. And here's the thing. Don't judge him. Let him be with those children. Only stop it if you have definitive evidence that something bad happened, not before. Innocent until proven guilty, goddammit.
You're ignorant.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just ignorant. It's not. You're a pedophile.
He might be flipping.
Dude, he's a bad man.
Yes.
Anyway, track number 9. Ugh. Silly Boy Blue.
You wish and wish and wish again.
I'm going to propose something, Garrett.
Propose it.
I think we should skip this song. I do not care.
Let me consult the Magic 8 Ball. Magic 8 Ball, what do you say? Sounds good.
Track number 10, Coming by My Toys.
Monkeys made of gingerbread and sugar horses painted red.
Excellent guitar playing, not by Bowie, but still good and present.
Yes. This is, again, showing a disconcerting amount of interest in children whomst are not his own.
Accurate. Yeah, I mean, the music's really good, but the lyrics appear to be mostly about farming and luring children to your cart.
Yeah, again, it's very Brothers Grimmy.
Yeah, let's assume he's eating these children.
Sure.
Song begins. Smiling girls and rosy boys, come and buy my little toys. Monkeys made of gingerbread and sugar horses painted red.
I mean, I'm in so far, I'll get in that fucking cart.
I mean, it's less toys, more treats.
Gingerbread monkeys, Garrett? Ginge monks? I'm in.
I didn't say they weren't delicious. I'm just saying it's not a toy. I'm not going to play with a ginge monk. I'm going to eat it.
Well, maybe
Rich
there's a
men's children running past their fathers dressed in hose. What? Golden hair and mud of many acres on their shoes. Okay. Gazing eyes and running wild past the stocks and over stiles. Kiss the widow, married child, but come and buy my toys. So I think that's a pitch to the rich kids.
Well, yes, Garrett, he wants the rich kids. Their parents have the most money should he end up ransoming them back. You gotta keep your
I
options
may have
open.
seen a little boy like that. How
Well,
many
maybe
gingerbread
it's this.
monkeys do you want?
Maybe it's this. Maybe he takes the child, and then if he gets caught, he's like, no. I got a rich one. I was clearly planning to ransom him. Nothing weird. That's his cover story.
He's ransoming. Wow, that's hard to say. He's why? Tim, I'm scared.
Yes, you have ALS.
He's ransoming. I'll get there. Don't worry. Stay with me. He is ransoming. Nailed it. Children. But he hasn't fully thought it through because his job is to sell monkeys.
Well, candy monkeys.
He's like, I might have seen your child. How many gingerbread monkeys can I put you down for? It's like, 3? That'll be 3 shillings. That was easy. Fucking idiot. Song continues. You've watched your father plow the fields with a ram's horn.
Now, these don't seem like rich kids.
That's right. Now he's turning to the poor kids now.
Ah, all right.
Sowed it wide with peppercorn and furrowed with a bramble thorn. I don't know where does pepper come from?
I don't know.
Is it a bush? It's got to be, right? A peppercorn bush? Has to be.
Let's plant some of our peppercorns in the garden.
It's not going to work.
What? Maybe.
Listeners, write in. Where does pepper come from? Anyway.
I bet it comes out like it's like they open clams or some sort of mussels, some sort of shellfish, and directly in the center of it is a single peppercorn, and they take this. That's
both stupid and pearls.
Well, no, it's like pearls, is what I'm saying.
I see.
It's like so. Like a pearl is like a fancy clam, and this is like the
Maybe
trash.
there's like a quahog.
A what?
Quahogs have peppercorns in them instead.
I don't know what a quahog is, but I'm willing to go with it.
Fun. No, you're an idiot. I'm curious. I wonder if pepper comes from trees or bushes. Bush sounds right. I'm going to bet it's trees. Listeners, write in. hatePodMail@gmail.com. Song continues.
If you just... Okay.
This is going to be dumb.
Do you think there would be a way to nurture this tree such that your peppercorn would grow as large as an apple?
You know what? Not as stupid as I was expecting.
I bet it comes in like peas, like where it's like a little pea pod kind of thing, and you break it open and there's a bunch of peppercorns in there.
Interesting. It might be that. I don't think so, just because your instincts are typically way off. But
I wish our Wi-Fi worked in this room.
Yeah, but it doesn't. And that's for a reason. Somebody used to put inappropriate images on the screen during broadcast time.
Gino.
Also.
And me.
Song continues. Reaped it with a sharpened scythe, threshed it with a quill. The miller told your father that he'd work it with the greatest will. Now your watching's over. You must play with girls and boys. Leave the parsley on the stalls. Come and buy my toys. Buy my car. You shall own a cambric shirt. You shall work your father's land. But now you shall play in the market square till you'll be a man.
This was allegedly rock and roll in 1967. This is...
hard to believe.
Yeah.
Oh, that brings us to track number 11, the 2-minute and 17-second song, Join the Gang.
Johnny plays the sitar, he's an existentialist. once he had a name.
This is an actual rock song structurally that simply has like the guitar part replaced by a sitar or horns or something.
Piano.
Oh yeah, piano I guess is in the second verse. I don't really understand what this is about. It feels like his attempt at like the Sgt. Pepper, like the intro song on that, and I really don't care.
Oh yeah, it's super jangly piano. Like we said, it opens with what I would describe as like ragtime or skiffle sitar. I've never heard a sitar played like this before.
It is weird, yeah. No, I mean, I like because it's played like it's a sitar that's being played like a guitar.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the song itself, I think, is supposed to be mocking hippies.
Okay.
I actually think it's supposed to be mocking hippies from what I've read. Like, so he says, I thought it was about joining a band, but I think it's about joining the cool kids. He says, let me introduce you to the gang. Johnny plays the sitar. He's an existentialist. Once he had a name, but now he plays our game. We don't feel so good now that you've joined the gang. So the gang I thought was the band because, you know, there's a guy playing a fucking sitar, but perhaps not. Maybe it's just, hanging out with the hippies there. Molly is the model in the ads. Crazy clothes and acid full of soul and crazy hips. Someone switched her on, then her beam went wrong. Because she can't switch off now that she's joined the gang. So Molly's addicted to acid or has lost her mind from regularly doing acid?
Yes, quite possibly.
How long do you think you can do acid before it just fucking breaks your brain?
Oh, I think that's the trouble with LSD, Garrett. I think that's a very personal thing. I think it's very individualized. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Biospecific.
Yeah.
Arthur drinks 2 bottles just before he goes on stage. Look at Arthur rave. All the kids have paid. They want to see the croaking man who joined the gang. Lead singer seems to have a drinking problem. It seems like they're just talking about a band.
Yeah, but I do agree that it does seem to be kind of making fun of hippies a little bit. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And on that note, track number 12, the delightful She's Got Medals.
She walked through the door and she'd set up the drinks on the house.
I really enjoyed this song, Garrett. It is...
Yeah, it's the closest to real Bowie.
Yes. This is about a mannish lady, I believe. It begins.
Yeah.
She'd walk through the door and she'd set up the drinks on the house. She played a good game of darts and the men slapped her back and never took her out. She wore a trench coat khaki. Her hobnail boots were full of holes. This is the second song ever I've heard the word hobnail in.
Yep.
She's got medals. And apparently that means both army and testicles.
Yeah, I thought it meant just like
brass balls. She's one of the guys.
Yes, but not physical testes.
Right. No. She's a lady, but she does pretend to be
She's a tomboy.
Well, she also pretends literally to be a man, Mulan style, to get into the army.
I'm not familiar with the reference.
Oh, well, then we've got a animated and a live-action movie to watch tonight before we get into 1998's Godzilla, and then, in time, a second viewing of 1998's Godzilla. Her mother called her Mary, but she changed her name to Tommy. She's a 1-0. She went and joined the army, passed the medical. Don't know, ask me how it's done. I don't know. It concealed the fact she had no penis, which is an army requirement. I don't know.
Gave the recruiter an HJ to keep his fucking mouth shut.
Excellent. They sent her to the front line, fighting for her country's name. She's got medals.
She's got medals.
Yes.
It's lots of fun.
She got very tired of picking up girls, cleaning her gun, and shaving her curls. Then the enemy dropped a bomb. Survivors there were none. She's dead, Garrett. She's fucking dead.
It's not a fun song.
No. But surprise twist! People say that when the moon is full and all the stars have gone to bed, you can see her ghost. But that's a lie, because the naughty woman isn't dead. She deserted the previous evening, replaced her uniform with dresses silken green, called herself Eileen, come to London town, now she's settled down.
I want to say that she faked her own death and killed her own battalion.
I like that, yeah.
They just constantly mocked her even though she saved their lives countless times, and she's like, all right, you know what? Fuck you, assholes. Blew them up and was like, now I'm going to start over as Eileen.
Yeah.
They can all die in hell.
Yeah, just fragged them. I like that.
Just casually dropped a grenade in the barracks and walked away.
Yes, yeah. And of course she went back to being a woman to not get in trouble for not dying, which is what a good man would have done.
Interesting statement. Track number 13, Maid of Bond Street.
Girl takes the train from Paddington to Oxford Circus, buys the Daily News, but passengers don't smile at her.
This is the one I really don't like.
I completely agree. This song is boring and dumb.
The only fun thing I can say about it is musically, I'm into it. Sounds a little bit like Golden Brown by the Stranglers. It's got that very 60s sounding like montage music you'd see in like a woman exploring the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Something out of Get Smart. I've been watching a lot of Get Smart recently.
It reminds me of like a lot of the music in like the Charlie Brown movies.
I'm not familiar with the reference.
God damn it.
It seems to be about a model who is lonely despite being pretty, and I just don't give a shit.
Yeah, and that brings us to the best song on the album.
Maybe, Garrett, dare I say it, the best song ever. No, that's too much.
Yeah, especially because there's no music. Track 14, Please, Mr. Gravedigger.
Please, Mr. Gravedigger, I couldn't care if you found a golden locket full of some girl's hair. Did you put it in your bucket?
So it starts off with church bells, rain, and thunder, and then Davey, I'm using quotey fingers here, performing a cappella because he's just speaking.
Well, it's delivered like a sea shanty. There's a little churchyard just along the way. It used to be Lambeth's finest array.
Delivered like a sea shanty if he had taken a whole bunch of Benadryl beforehand.
Well, sure. It's a Benny shanty.
That's right, yeah. He seems to have a cold. He sneezes several times during this song. He seems to get significantly sicker as the song goes on. And there's also the sound of digging in the background.
Yeah, and again, to be clear, no music.
Right. I think this is the continuing story of The Little Bombardier.
I mean, honestly, I kind of hope it is. Otherwise, he's written two distinct stories about murdering children.
Well, more than two, but we're leaving that Charlie Manx thing alone.
That's up for interpretation. I said distinct.
Fair enough. So yeah, here he's hanging out in a graveyard initially, watching a gravedigger. There's a little churchyard just along the way. It used to be Lambeth's finest array of tombstones, epitaphs, wreaths, flowers, all that jazz, till the war come along and someone dropped a bomb on the lot. And in this little yard, there's a little old man with a shovel in his little bitty hand. He seems to spend all his days puffing fags and digging graves. Now that is, of course, cigarettes. He hates the Reverend Vicar and lives all alone in his home. Achoo, excuse me. Get a little sneeze there.
Yeah, I could have done without that. But again, it's a weird song. All we hear is rain, thunder, and digging.
And Bowie.
As this man as Bowie recites this terrifying dirge.
Yes. Please, Mr. Gravedigger, don't feel ashamed as you dig little holes for the dead and the maimed. Please, Mr. Gravedigger, I couldn't care if you found a golden locket full of some girl's hair and you put it in your pocket.
Interesting. What kind of morals do you have?
It's weird that, listen, okay, here's the thing. If you're a gravedigger, there's nothing wrong with this, and David Bowie seems to agree. You should not feel ashamed. Let's say you're digging graves and some creepo that you're constantly seeing in this graveyard's like, hey, I bet you steal stuff from these graves, huh? You know, you find yourself a pretty lady and you just like take a little bit of her hair, maybe a locket, you know, you just take that home and like
have it.
yeah. Do that thing that, you know, makes you feel real good. Just, no, man, okay. I'm going to hit you with this shovel.
Okay, but just to be clear, your point there is that the gravedigger who's taking the keepsakes, A-okay. The guy who comments on it.
No. He didn't say the gravedigger ever. I think what's happening is he's like, hey, man, just so you know, I'm cool. I don't care if you take some stuff from these graves. And he's like,
and the gravedigger's like, wait, what?
What are you talking about?
I'll just dig the graves.
Yeah, like I think he's putting this on him. I think he's like, to make himself feel better about the horrible, horrible things he does, I think he's trying to like bond with this gravedigger. And this guy's like, dude, fuck are you talking about?
Do you have a sneak a peek? Huh? You have a sneak a peek? Of what? You know.
Yep.
Do you have a sneak a peek?
Do you fleep or peep at these dead people?
It's okay. I'm cool, baby.
I can tell by your haircut that you are definitely not.
I don't think you and I define define cool the same way, sir. Song continues. Her mother doesn't know about your sentimental joy. She thinks it's down below with the rest of her toys. And Ma wouldn't understand, so I won't tell. So keep your golden locket all safely hid away in your pocket.
Again, I did not take anything. What are you talking about?
It's cool, baby. I know what you're talking about.
You're gonna get me fired. Possibly arrested.
If he comes over, I'll be super chill about it. Please don't say wink. It's bad enough you exaggeratedly winked, but don't say it. Who let you in here? You're supposed to have a badge.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Because he gets too familiar, right? Yes, Mr. GD, you see me every day. Like, don't start giving the gravedigger the nickname Mr. GD. First of all, I think that might be at least as long as gravedigger, but also, it's weird. You've done a weird thing here.
Yeah, it's you're right. It is a level of familiarity in order to obfuscate the fact that this guy's a real creep.
Yes. We get our second sneeze of the song, which is something I've never said before. And then he says, standing in the same spot by a certain grave, Marianne was only 10 and full of life and oh so gay. And I was the wicked man who took her life away. Very selfish. Oh God.
Oh God. He seems to regret it.
I don't think so.
Oh, he's savoring it. He misses it.
Yeah.
He's thinking back on it and almost climaxes.
Okay, we're going to bleep at least 6 of those words. No, I think what happens is he's continued to do the thing he does, and possibly this was the first child he ever ate, and none of the rest of them have ever tasted so sweet, and so he's coming back here reminiscing.
Jesus.
Listen, this
Mr. GD, you won't tell. And just to make sure that you keep it to yourself, I've started digging holes, my friend, and this one here's for you. So he's going to kill that guy because he realizes he said too much. I don't take any dead people's things. Oh, you're so much better than I am. I'll see you in 2 days. I normally only kill children, but I'll make an exception for you, Mr. GD. My name is Carl. Tim, how did this do?
Poorly. Nobody listened to this.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
What did people think of it?
Well, we don't have a Robert Christgau review. He did not start listening to Bowie until Hunky Dory, but we do have 455 total ratings on Amazon. 4.6 out of 5 stars on average, 77% 5-star, 2% 1-star. The first is by Yahoo Hoy, and it is entitled Chingling from 2024.
I'm already upset.
For playing and Ching-linging, 5 out of 5 stars.
Huh?
It's for playing and also Ching-linging.
What's Ching-linging?
I don't know, Garrett.
Did you Google it?
No, I'm not Googling that, and I don't think you should either.
Listeners, Google it for us. hatePodMail@gmail.com. What's Ching-linging?
Please don't. Davy Jones, I don't know if that is David Bowie writing. No, yeah, it could be. It's 1999.
Yeah.
This review is titled, A Friend Stole the CD from Me. It's so good. I'm rebuying this CD because an old friend of mine stole it from me. We were playing it in my room. I was telling her it's an early side of Bowie I've never heard. She agreed with me, and then she said she had to go. And then I noticed it was gone. She stole it! I truly love this CD. I recommend, if you're not sure what Bowie CD to get, start off with this one. I've never heard from her or the CD since. 5 out of 5 stars. First of all,
have you ever stolen anyone's CD?
I did. I told a story here very accidentally. When I was one time in the U.S., I was at house. I was listening to his, I believe, 7 Mary 3 CD, and then I went back to Saudi Arabia with that CD in my Discman, and I had to sheepishly come back to him and say, I'm sorry I stole this for 9 months. Here you go.
I stole
so much.
Okay. Beck Odelay, and I think I stole a copy of Toadies after somebody stole my copy of Toadies.
Did you steal it from the person that you stole it from, or did you just pass that down?
No, I paid it forward.
Fair enough.
I don't remember. I stole some album from a kid named Nick. Nick, if you're out there, what album did I take from you?
Nick, if you're out there, fuck you. That's ours now. It's in a CD case right here.
Oh, I'm not giving it back, but I do recall somebody ran into him 8 years later, and they were like, hey, Nick says he wants his CD back. Fuck you. Who's Nick?
Yeah. I also like it that this guy thinks that if you're not sure what Bowie CD to get, start with this one. That's terrible advice.
Yeah, that's really not going to set your expectations.
One more. This is by Elliot J. Montgomery, called Not His Best from 2023. This album is terrible, so purchasing the deluxe album is terrible times 2. Don't recommend. 1 out of 5 stars.
Did you see how long the deluxe is?
It's basically twice as long. It's like the mono version, I think, as well. I don't know
It's got every song that's ever been on this album in every pressing.
And there's a bunch of singles that were released before this that, again, if you listen to the history, they all failed.
Yeah, nobody liked it. Nobody likes him unless he puts on a mountain of affectation.
That's sad.
Right?
That's sad.
I think he got it together later.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just, faked it till he made it. But, apparently, nobody really cared for David Bowie until he turned into Ziggy Stardust.
I kind of have the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. You were a fucking pariah to society until you became the world-famous Timothy Richardson on the Why I Hate This Album podcast.
Yeah. Gordon never saw people just spit on that asshole.
Yeah, as they should. That guy's a real piece of garbage.
Yes. Well, yes.
Tim, who's this for?
Completists, I guess. Adults with anoxic brain injuries, which have left them childlike. And it's also
People who want to laugh.
It's for people who are looking to make an excellent fucking rock album. This is for your Man-Mans, your Neutral Milk Hotels, your The Beatles 1 year later, and are looking for weird elements to incorporate on top of your actual music and not just this.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're looking for inspiration from an unknown era, get into this. If you're a big David Bowie fan and you've never heard this, go listen. It's wild.
Yeah, again, I really like this album, but it's fucking ridiculous and it's not music.
It isn't music. Maybe it's music, but it's weird. I think we just did final thoughts, so I'm just going to ask it, Tim. Do you hate this album?
Of course not, Garrett. I might buy this on vinyl and torture everyone with it. What about you? Do you hate this?
No, although I wish I had, because it would have been fun. This could have been your Transformer Man. Because I think at a different time, this could have hit my ear wrong, and I'm just not here for it.
Year 1 of this show, we both would have hated this immediately.
That's true. We've really broadened our understanding of what music can be and should be.
We've really deepened our understanding of what is truly bad music. And this just ain't it.
That's true. All right. Well, as always, folks, reach out, hatePodMail@gmail.com, hatepod.com if you want to get all the episodes. You can download them, do whatever you want. Socials, G Harvey Tweets, that's me on Twitter. There's also Album HatePod on Twitter. On Instagram, it's HatePod. Same for Threads. What else is there? We got Discord servers. We got subreddits. I mean, if you want to talk to us, it's not that hard. Go do it. But please reach out if you got songs that you want to hear, albums you want to hear, fun stories about these artists, fun stories about any of the random things we talked about today. Was your, family member the grave digger murderer? We'd love to hear about it. Write in. We are always looking for new artwork, song submissions, interstitial submissions, and just downright strange things. So
Did you know David Bowie when you were a child? Write in.
HatePodMail@gmail.com. That would be fantastic. Did you ever know David Bowie? HatePodMail@gmail.com. I'd like to talk to you. Alrighty. For this week, last week, and always next week, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Timothy P. Richardson, and Garrett P. Harvey does not pay for bags at CVS.
Absolutely not. Do you?
That's stealing, Garrett. You're...
It isn't. I'm from a different time.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.